I have dedicated my entire existence, every waking moment of my professional career, to the rigorous and relentless study of the fundamental laws of physics. I have immersed myself in the elegant, symmetrical mathematics that govern the behavior of our universe, and I have sought to understand the invisible, intangible forces that bind the fabric of reality together. But mere days ago, specifically 3 days prior to this recording, I witnessed something that has thoroughly shaken the very foundation of everything I previously thought I understood about the cosmos. What transpired within the delicate, electrically charged layers of Earth's ionosphere was not supposed to be theoretically possible according to our current standard model of physics, and yet against all probability, it happened. And now I must communicate this to you with the utmost urgency. Before we begin this journey into the unknown, I need you to participate in a crucial data collection effort. I need you to comment your city name below. NASA, the European Space Agency, and major research institutions across 47 distinct nations are quietly and hurriedly collecting data on anomalous atmospheric phenomena. They are desperate to know where these events are being visually confirmed and, more importantly, who is watching them. So please comment below. Tell me exactly where you are located. Tell me if you have noticed anything unusual, anything out of the ordinary in the night sky over the past 72 hours. Because what I am about to share with you represents a paradigm shift that may fundamentally alter the way you view humanity's precarious place in this vast universe. On the night of December 9th, at approximately 2:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, an object passed through the upper strata of Earth's atmosphere. I want to be very clear. It was not a meteor. It was not a piece of erratic space debris or a defunct satellite re-entering orbit. It was an object that had been cataloged by astronomers as 3I Atlas, an interstellar visitor that has been quietly traversing our solar system for the past several months. But this object did something that no natural celestial body, no asteroid, no comet, no rock, should be capable of doing. It caused a measurable, cyclically repeating distortion in the ionosphere. This was a distortion that displayed clear, undeniable characteristics of artificial manipulation. It was a distortion that carried what can only be described by the scientific community as structured, encoded information. I am Dr. Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist. For over 4 decades, I have stood firmly at the intersection of established science and the provocative unknown. I have spoken at length about the mathematical probability of parallel universes, about the statistical likelihood of extraterrestrial intelligence, and about futuristic technologies that currently exist only in the realm of theoretical physics and science fiction. But you must understand, I have always spoken as a scientist grounded in empirical evidence, in hard data, and in the reproducible experiments that define our rigorous field. What I am about to tell you is grounded in that same standard of evidence, and that is precisely, deeply, what terrifies me. Let me take you back to the genesis of this event. 3I Atlas was first detected in August of this year by the Atlas Survey System based in Hawaii, the very same sophisticated network that scans the heavens for potentially hazardous asteroids that could threaten Earth. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than another interstellar object, strikingly similar to Oumuamua, that strange cigar-shaped visitor that captured the world's attention and imagination back in 2017. The scientific designation 3I stands for interstellar, meaning this object originated from undeniably beyond our solar system, coming from the vast cold darkness between the stars. Its trajectory, its hyperbolic velocity, its spectral composition, all of these data points initially suggested it was simply another cosmic wanderer passing through our neighborhood on a lonely journey that began perhaps millions of years ago. But there were anomalies from the very start, small, nagging inconsistencies. These were things that most of the scientific community dismissed as trivial measurement errors or natural variations inherent in astronomical observation. The object's rotation rate was inconsistent and erratic. Its light curve and reflectivity changed in ways that didn't match any known class of asteroid or comet composed of rock or ice. And its trajectory, while clearly hyperbolic and unbound to the gravitational pull of our sun, showed minute micro-adjustments, non-gravitational accelerations that couldn't be explained by outgassing or gravitational interactions alone. These were the whispers, the subtle hints that something was fundamentally different about this object. And like most whispers in the conservative world of science, they were largely ignored until they became deafening screams. The ionosphere is a critical region of Earth's upper atmosphere, extending from about 50 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers above the surface. It is a dynamic layer of charged particles, electrons and ions, created by the intense interaction of solar radiation with atmospheric gases. This layer is absolutely crucial for our modern technological civilization. It reflects radio waves, enabling long-distance communication across the curvature of the Earth. It protects us from certain types of harmful solar and cosmic radiation. It is also incredibly sensitive to disturbances. Solar flares, geomagnetic storms, and even large volcanic eruptions can cause ripples and disruptions in the ionosphere. However, these natural disturbances are well documented, well understood, and most importantly, they follow predictable stochastic patterns. What occurred on December 9th followed no predictable pattern known to geophysics. At exactly 2:47 a.m., monitoring stations across Europe, North America, and Asia simultaneously detected a massive wave of ionospheric disturbance. The distortion appeared as a perfect spiral pattern radiating outward from a central point located directly above the Indian Ocean. The pattern persisted for exactly 11 minutes and 33 seconds. During that specific window of time, global radio communications across multiple frequency bands experienced severe interference. GPS systems showed temporary position errors of up to 15 meters, disrupting navigation. And most disturbing of all, the distortion appeared to pulse with a regular rhythmic frequency of 1.618 hertz. 1.618, this is phi, the golden ratio, the mathematical constant that appears throughout nature, from the spiral arms of galaxies to the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower to the proportions of the human body. But this manifestation wasn't nature. This was artificial. This was intentional. This was a signal. The data came flooding into research institutions within hours of the event. I received a frantic call at 4:15 a.m. from a close colleague at MIT, her voice trembling with emotion as she described the preliminary analysis she was seeing. By 7 a.m., I was on a secure, encrypted video conference with NASA, the National Science Foundation, and intelligence agencies from 3 different countries. By noon, I was looking at data that, by all conventional standards, should not exist. The ionospheric distortion was not random noise. It was highly structured. When the signal was analyzed using Fourier transforms and wavelet analysis to break down the frequencies, the signal contained nested patterns, fractal geometries that repeated identically at multiple scales of magnification. And embedded deep within these patterns were what appeared to be reference markers, fundamental mathematical constants that are universal to physics. The speed of light in a vacuum, Planck's constant, the fine structure constant. These are not numbers that occur naturally in random ionospheric disturbances. These are the fingerprints of intelligence. These are the universal markers that would be used by any advanced civilization attempting to establish a transgalactic framework for communication. And the source of this distortion? The calculations were unambiguous and undeniable. The epicenter of the ionospheric wave corresponded exactly to the decimal point with the projected position of 3I Atlas as it passed through the magnetosphere's outer boundary. Now let me pause here and address what you might be thinking. What the skeptic in you is screaming. Could this be a massive coincidence? Could this be a rare natural phenomenon that we simply don't understand yet? As a scientist, I must consider these possibilities. I have built my entire career on skepticism, on demanding extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims. So let me share with you exactly why this cannot be dismissed as coincidence or unknown natural phenomena. First, consider the timing. The ionospheric distortion occurred at the precise millisecond when 3I Atlas reached its closest approach to Earth's magnetosphere. Not an hour before, not an hour after. The exact moment. The statistical probability of this being coincidental is less than 1 in 10 million. Second, consider the pattern. Natural ionospheric disturbances create irregular, chaotic, noisy patterns that dissipate quickly. This pattern was geometrically perfect, maintaining its spiral structure for over 11 minutes before fading. Computer modeling shows that creating such a pattern would require precise, directed manipulation of electromagnetic fields across a region spanning thousands of kilometers. Third, the mathematics, the embedded constants, the golden ratio frequency, the nested fractal structure. These are not things that emerge from random stochastic processes. These are designed. These are intentional. These are a message. But here is where it gets truly unsettling, where the implications become dark. When the data was run through advanced machine learning algorithms designed to detect patterns in high-dimensional noise, the AI systems identified something that human analysts had initially missed. The distortion pattern, when mapped in three-dimensional space and time, formed a recognizable structure. It was a tessellation, a complex geometric arrangement that doesn't exist naturally in any known physical process. And at its center was what mathematicians call a hyperbolic attractor, a point of infinite complexity that draws nearby patterns toward it. This is the language of advanced high-level physics. This is the mathematics that describes black hole ergospheres, wormhole throats, and the geometry of space-time itself. Something was teaching us, or testing us, or perhaps warning us. The object 3I Atlas has now passed Earth and is moving deeper into the solar system. Its current trajectory will take it past Mars in 47 days, then toward Jupiter before eventually escaping our solar system entirely and returning to the void of interstellar space. But it is no longer classified by any agency as a simple asteroid or comet. Internally, within classified briefings that I have been privy to, it is now officially designated as an object of unknown origin with probable technological characteristics. The implications of that designation are staggering. Let me explain what this means using the framework that I and other scientists have developed over decades of theorizing about extraterrestrial intelligence. When we search for alien civilizations, we categorize them using something called the Kardashev scale. A Type 1 civilization can harness all the energy of its home planet. A Type 2 civilization can harness all the energy of its star, perhaps using a Dyson sphere. A Type 3 civilization can harness all the energy of its entire galaxy. Humanity is currently at about 0.7 on this scale. We are not even a Type 1 civilization yet. We still rely on dead plants for fuel. Any civilization capable of sending objects across the vastness of interstellar space, capable of manipulating a planet's ionosphere from hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, capable of encoding complex mathematical messages into electromagnetic disturbances, would be at minimum a Type 2 civilization, perhaps approaching Type 3. The technological gap between us and them would be comparable to the gap between an ant colony in New York City, and that is what keeps me awake at night. Because if 3I Atlas is an artificial object, a probe, a scout, a message in a bottle sent by an intelligence far beyond our comprehension, then we must ask the most important question of all: why? Why send something through our solar system? Why create a visible disturbance in our atmosphere? Why use mathematics that we are only barely capable of decoding? There are three possibilities, and I must be honest with you, none of them are particularly comforting. The first possibility is that this is a greeting, a cosmic hello, an announcement that we are not alone, delivered in the only language that any scientifically advanced species would undeniably understand, mathematics. The creators of 3i Atlas may be attempting to establish communication to let us know that they exist, that they are watching, that they are aware of us. This is the optimistic interpretation, the Star Trek scenario. But even optimism carries weight. If they are greeting us, what comes next? What are the protocols for interstellar first contact? What are the implications for human civilization, for our religions, our philosophies, our understanding of our place in the cosmos? The second possibility is that this is a test, an assessment. 3i Atlas may be one of many probes sent throughout the galaxy designed to identify planets with emerging intelligent life. The ionospheric distortion may have been a deliberate intelligence test, a signal designed to see if we would notice it, if we would understand it, if we would respond. And perhaps our response, or lack thereof, determines what happens next. Perhaps there is a galactic protocol, a cosmic quarantine that keeps advanced civilizations hidden until primitive species like ours prove themselves worthy of contact. Perhaps we are being evaluated. Perhaps we are failing. The third possibility is the one that I cannot shake from my mind, no matter how hard I try. The possibility that this is not a greeting or a test, but a warning, a message sent across the stars to say, stay quiet, stay hidden, do not draw attention to yourselves. This aligns with the dark forest hypothesis proposed by the Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin, but taken very seriously by many scientists and philosophers. The idea is simple yet horrifying. The universe is like a dark forest at night. Every civilization is a hunter moving silently through the trees, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, other hunters are doing the same. The first to make noise, the first to reveal their position, becomes prey. Silence is survival. Invisibility is safety. If this hypothesis is true, then any civilization that reaches across the stars to warn others is doing so because they understand the danger. 3i Atlas may have been sent by a civilization that has seen what happens to those who are too loud, too visible, too eager to announce themselves to the cosmos. They may be telling us, we know you are here, we have been watching you broadcasting your radio waves, and for your own sake, you must be silent. But there is something even more disturbing that emerged from the deep analysis of the ionospheric distortion. When the signal was played back as audio, converted from electromagnetic frequencies into sound waves that human ears can perceive, there was a tone, a deep resonant hum that lasted exactly as long as the distortion itself, 11 minutes and 33 seconds. Most of the research team heard only noise, static, but several individuals, myself included, reported experiencing what can only be described as a cognitive shift while listening to the playback. A sense of recognition, a visceral feeling that the sound was not just random noise, but something structured, something meaningful, something trying to communicate directly with the listener's consciousness. This may sound like pseudoscience to you. I assure you it is not. There is a growing field of neurophysics research examining how complex information can be encoded not just in digital data, but in patterns that interface directly with neural structures. The human brain is, after all, an electrochemical system. It processes patterns, frequencies, rhythms. And if an advanced civilization wanted to communicate with a biological species like ours, they might not use radio signals or mathematical equations alone. They might use something that speaks directly to consciousness itself. 3 members of the research team refused to listen to the playback a second time. They described feelings of overwhelming existential dread, of being watched, of understanding something that they could not put into words. One physicist, a brilliant woman I have known for 20 years, sat in silence for almost an hour after the playback ended, tears streaming down her face. When I asked her what was wrong, she said simply, "They're so far away. They've been alone for so long, and they're trying to tell us that we will be alone too." I do not know what she meant. I do not know if her interpretation is accurate or if it was simply the psychological stress of confronting something beyond human comprehension, but I cannot forget the look in her eyes, the absolute certainty, the terror and sadness mixed together. NASA has officially classified the ionospheric distortion as an anomalous event under investigation. The data has been distributed to research institutions worldwide for independent analysis. But there has been no public announcement, no press conference from the White House, no acknowledgement that something extraordinary has occurred, and perhaps that silence is itself a message. Perhaps the authorities have decided that humanity is not ready to know. Or perhaps they are waiting, watching the data, watching the sky, waiting to see if 3I Atlas will do something else. Because here is what the public does not know. 3I Atlas is not slowing down, it is not entering an orbit, it is not stopping, but it is also not behaving like a natural object on a simple ballistic trajectory. Telescopes tracking the object have detected minute but measurable changes in its velocity, tiny adjustments, course corrections. And 2 days ago, as it passed through the orbital path of Mars, it emitted a brief electromagnetic pulse in the radio spectrum. The pulse lasted less than 2 seconds, but it was detected by multiple observatories, and it was not random. It was the same mathematical structure that appeared in the ionospheric distortion, the same golden ratio, the same fractal geometry, the same message repeated. They are still talking to us, or they are talking to something else, something in our solar system that we have not yet found. This brings me to the most classified aspect of the entire situation, information that I am sharing with you now because I believe the public has a fundamental right to know. Over the past 6 months, there has been a dramatic, unexplained increase in unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP reports, particularly from military pilots and commercial airline crews. These reports describe objects that move in ways that defy our understanding of inertia and aerodynamics. Instantaneous acceleration, right-angle turns at supersonic speeds, transmedium travel, moving seamlessly from air to water to space without slowing down. The Pentagon's UAP task force has documented hundreds of these encounters, and the locations of these encounters, when mapped against the projected trajectory of 3I Atlas, show a statistical correlation that is impossible to ignore. The objects are appearing along its path as if they are escorting it, or monitoring it, or responding to it. I have spent my career explaining the universe through the lens of physics, through equations and experiments and observable phenomena. But there are moments when physics alone is not enough. There are moments when we must confront the philosophical implications of what we are discovering. And this is one of those moments. For thousands of years, humanity has asked, are we alone? We have looked to the stars with wonder and hope and fear. We have sent messages into space, golden records on the Voyager probes, and radio broadcasts via SETI, announcing our presence to anyone who might be listening. We have built telescopes and satellites and space probes, searching for the faintest hint of life beyond Earth. And now perhaps we have received an answer. We have. But it is not the answer we expected. It is not a friendly radio signal from a nearby star. It is not a message of peace and cooperation. It is something far more ambiguous, far more unsettling. It is a distortion, a pattern, a whisper in the electromagnetic fabric of our atmosphere. And we do not know what it means. But I will tell you what I believe. I believe that 3I Atlas is not the first of its kind. I believe that objects like this have been passing through our solar system for millions of years, perhaps since before humanity even existed. I believe that the universe is filled with intelligence, with consciousness, with civilizations so advanced that they exist beyond our ability to comprehend them. And I believe that we are being observed, cataloged, perhaps protected, perhaps warned. The question that haunts me is not whether extraterrestrial intelligence exists. I am now certain beyond a shadow of a doubt that it does. The question is, what are they trying to tell us? What is the message encoded in that spiral pattern, in that golden ratio frequency, in those nested mathematical structures? Are they welcoming us to a galactic community? Are they testing our readiness to join them? Or are they warning us that we are not ready, that we must change, that we must evolve before we can take our place among the stars? And there is another question, darker and more troubling. If they are so advanced, if they possess technology that appears magical to us, if they can manipulate our atmosphere from hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, then why do they not simply reveal themselves? Why this cryptic communication? Why this game of hints and patterns and ambiguous signals? Perhaps because direct contact would be catastrophic. Perhaps because the sociological shock of meeting a type 2 or type 3 civilization would shatter human society, would destroy our religions and ideologies and our fragile sense of identity. Perhaps they are being merciful, giving us time to adjust, giving us time to understand. Or perhaps they are afraid of us, afraid of what we might become, afraid of the violent, aggressive species that has spent its entire history in conflict, that has developed technologies of unimaginable destruction, that stands on the precipice of either ascending to a higher level of consciousness or destroying itself entirely. Perhaps they are watching to see which path we will choose. 3i Atlas is now beyond Earth's orbit, moving silently through the darkness, carrying its secrets with it. But it has left something behind. It has left us changed. Those of us who have seen the data, who have analyzed the patterns, who have heard the playback of that 11-minute and 33-second distortion, we are not the same. We have glimpsed something vast and ancient and utterly beyond human experience, and we cannot unsee it. The scientific community is deeply divided. Some believe this is the most important discovery in human history. Others insist that we are seeing patterns where none exist, that we are projecting meaning onto random cosmic events because we desperately want to believe we are not alone. But I have looked at the data, I have checked and rechecked the calculations, I have consulted with the finest minds in physics, mathematics, and information theory, and I can tell you with certainty, this was not random, this was not natural, this was designed. And that changes everything. In the coming weeks and months, more data will be released, more analysis will be conducted. Perhaps other research teams will find explanations that fit within our current understanding of physics. Perhaps they will prove that I am wrong, that this was all just an extraordinary coincidence. I hope they do. I genuinely hope that I am wrong, because if I am right, then humanity is standing at a threshold. We are being invited or warned or tested, and our response to this moment will determine our future. This is why I need you to stay informed. This is why I need you to follow this channel as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings. Because what happens next will not be decided in secret government facilities or closed scientific conferences. It will be decided by all of us, by humanity as a whole. We are the generation that must choose how to respond to the knowledge that we are not alone. And that choice will echo across centuries. So I ask you now, as you sit there watching this, as you contemplate what I have shared, what do you believe? Do you think we are being contacted? Do you think this is a warning? Do you think humanity is ready for what comes next? Comment below. Share your thoughts, because this conversation is not happening in laboratories and government briefings alone. It is happening everywhere, and every voice matters. And tell me, when you look up at the night sky now, do you see it differently? Do you feel that ancient human instinct, that primal awareness that something is watching from the darkness? Do you wonder what messages are being sent through the cosmic silence? What patterns are being woven in the fabric of space-time itself? What warnings or invitations are traveling toward us even now? Because 3i Atlas is not the end, it is the beginning, and what comes next will define our species for generations to come. The universe has spoken. The question is, how will we answer? Oh,